Baudrillard's work Simulacra and Simulation explains how, in the modern world, we are no longer connected to reality directly. Instead, we live in a world of signs, images, and symbols that pretend to show the real but actually create fake. He calls this world of copies and illusions simulation. He believes that today what we call reality is mostly made up of these simulations, and this has serious effects on how we think, live, and understand the world. In the first chapter, The Precision of Simulacra, Baudrillard introduces the core idea of the book, Simulacra. Simulacra are copies of things that may no longer exist or never existed in the first place. He explains four stages of the image. First, it reflects a real thing. Second, it hides or twists that reality. Third, it hides the fact that there is no reality at all. And fourth, it becomes its own reality, a pure simulation. This last stage is the most dangerous because we can no longer tell what is real or what is fake. For example, in advertising, a burger may look perfect in the picture, but in real life it is nothing like that. Yet, people begin to believe in the image more than the real thing. In the chapter Orders of Simulacra, he explains how societies have changed over time in their relationship to science and meaning. In pre modern times, signs were connected to real things. In industrial societies, signs became mass produced and started to lose their deep meaning. In the postmodern era where we live now, signs have completely separated from reality. We consume images and messages that do not reflect anymore. Media, television, and digital forms spread these signs everywhere. We start to live in what we call hyperreality, a place where the fake becomes more real than the real. The chapter Simulacra and Science Fiction discusses how science fiction often imagines fake realities or alternate worlds. However, Baudrillard thinks that our actual world has already become stranger than science fiction. We live in a space filled with simulations such as theme parks, reality shows, and online games that are hard to separate from real life. Disneyland is a famous example. It pretends to be a fantasy land, but he says it exists to cover up the fact that the rest of America is also a simulation, carefully managed, staged, and controlled. He argues that the idea of escaping into fiction is false because fiction and reality have already mixed together. In History, a retro scenario, Baudrillard argues that history is no longer about learning or remembering the past in a meaningful way. Instead, we now consume history like entertainment. We watch movies about World War II or historical TV shows and feel like we understand history, but we are just watching images simplified and dramatized. These representations are simulations, and they stop us from engaging with real historical events. We do not remember the past directly anymore. We rely on media to give us a version of history that may not be true but feels emotionally satisfying. The chapter is one of Baudrillard's most difficult and controversial. He questions how something as serious and traumatic as the Holocaust can be represented in media. He warns that trying to show such horror in movies or books can turn it into a spectacle. The risk is that it becomes just another simulation, a product to be consumed, and this removes its true meaning and pain. He does not deny the event happened, instead, he warns about the dangers of turning real suffering into images that people watch like any other film. In the Boberg effect, implosion and deterrence, he talks about the Pompidou Center in Paris. He says this museum and cultural center is an example of how modern society tries to show everything openly. All art, all knowledge, all history, but in doing so, it actually destroys meaning. By displaying everything so publicly, the museum turns culture into a show. Nothing is sacred or mysterious anymore. Culture becomes just another form of entertainment, and people stop thinking deeply about what they see. Implosion of meaning in the media explains how mass media does not just deliver information, it actually overloads us with so much noise that it destroys meaning. There is too much communication happening, too many images and messages, and this makes it harder to understand what is real. The media does not help us think clearly or connect to truth. Instead, it creates confusion. Important stories are mixed with entertainment and advertising, and we begin to lose our ability to tell the difference between truth and fiction. In the divine irreverence of images, Baudrillard explains how images no longer refer to anything. In earlier times, images pointed to gods, ideas, or real things. Now, images point only to other images. We are stuck in a world of self referencing signs. For example, a celebrity's fame may be based not on talent but on the constant media attention they get. Their image is created and supported by other images, magazine covers, interviews, rumors, none of which connect to anything real or lasting. This loop of signs makes our experience shallow and disconnected. The hyperreal and the imaginary focuses on how imaginary things such as cartoons, virtual worlds, and fantasies are separate from reality. Hyperreality means that simulations feel more real than real life. People prefer the world of television, social media, or video games because they are more exciting and controlled. These simulations are not just distractions, they become the main way people understand and interact with the world. Baudrillard also writes about politics and economics. He argues that even these areas are becoming simulations. Political debates on TV are more about image and style than real ideas. People vote based on how a candidate looks or speaks, not what they actually do. Similarly, in economics, value is often based on brand and appearance rather than real usefulness. A designer handbag may be expensive not because of the materials or labor, but because of the name on it. This shows how far removed we are from reality